Welcome to Truth, Money, and Freedom. Today is Thursday, April 4th, 2019. Wanted to cover a couple of stories with you guys and give you some analysis here. Analysis: Trump leaves Washington reeling with policy whiplash as he struggles with domestic agenda. Well, we all know this. He's been tweeting a lot of stuff lately. One very recently, and it got a lot of coverage, was he's going to he renewed his pledge to replace the Affordable Care Act, only to backtrack on Tuesday after being confronted by the realities of another all-consuming fight over President Barack Obama's signature health care law on Capitol Hill. The next one, of course, was to close the U.S. border with Mexico, to stop all illegal immigration if Mexico didn't do something to stop these caravans coming through. Um, and that's, you can read on about this. I'll link this below, of course. We could go into reading this and the discussion on the healthcare thing. But the takeaway from the story really is that the Republicans have learned, basically not to take Trump very seriously because he fires off tweets all the time and for things he cannot do. He is basically he's kind of trapped, I think, and I'll get into that in a second here. Here's the other story. Trump to give China until 2025 to commit to trade deal. It's pretty interesting when you think about it because constantly in the news, Trump is like just an inch away from closing the deal with China for trade. We've been hearing this for about 2 months now. Now, Trump has actually said this is a false story, fake news story. So we'll find out soon. Um, they're, as far as I know, they're nowhere near closer to some kind of trade deal. The trade war goes on. Um, but I don't know how much we have felt it yet here in America. Um, but they're basically the trade deal that they're working on is for China to buy U.S. commodities, soybeans, energy products, and all that kind of stuff. Okay, what am I getting to on this? Without going into actually reading these stories more, and I will link both of these below, is something that I came to terms with back in 2004, which is that the Democrat and Republican parties are basically the same on really big issues. I'll give you an example. Um, the border wall. Now, whether you want the border wall or you don't want the border wall, Trump campaigned on putting up a border wall and he was elected, so you would think that the majority of the people want a border wall between us and Mexico. Let's look at the reality of this. And there's several realities, and I'm going to go as quick as I can here because I try to keep my podcast short. Um, the issue here is the politicians, the political parties themselves, do not want the border wall. The Democrats don't want it, and the Republicans don't want it. So they keep the theater going in Washington that there's some sort of debate going on a border wall. And I can prove this too, because in 2005, Bush was allocated some $700 million to actually begin building the border wall, which never got started. The money was there. I meant the political will was not. I think there was a placation of the people by simply putting out a news story that money was allocated to go ahead and start the project, and then America just kind of forgot about it, and they went on to the next news cycle, and nothing ever got done. Now, here's the interesting part. Trump said about 2 months ago that border wall construction, has started. But the Border Patrol says there's nothing going on. Nothing. They built some test walls, of tiny sections of test walls. That's all that's ever happened. And they were put up literally to test to see, basically how they would work. But what has happened is refurbishing of some old walls that we do have up already. My, the takeaway from what I have just told you is pretty much this. The Republicans and Democrats do not want the wall, period. They could have the wall if they wanted it. The people want the wall apparently. So the political will is there, backing of the people, in other words, to spend money on it is there. But I don't think either party wants the wall. And that's evidenced by, after 9/11, we should have probably have done something about our borders at that time, and nothing was ever done. We have these caravans, apparently coming into America all the time. Many illegals coming into this country, and I know this is happening. I'm in Missouri, I'm in Southwest Missouri, and we see that here a little bit. When I travel to other places, I see it a lot more than I do here, but it depends on how far south you go. So this is a problem, and both the Democrats and Republicans are definitely not wanting a wall. So they definitely are pro the illegal immigrants. Now, let me say that again. That's a strong statement, but I need you guys to understand we're going to judge them by their actions, not by their words, right? The Republican Party and the Democratic Party are pro illegal immigration. They want them in here. So that's my assessment of that. Now let's move to Obamacare. Um, Without me going into a big, long discussion on this, and I could, trust me, because this was one of the things that I really studied. The Republicans and Democrats both want Obamacare. And I know a lot of people are going to, say, hey, Timmy Chonga, what the heck are you talking about? The Republicans have been very plainly spoken. They do not want Obamacare. They want it removed. Yes, they had the power to do so, and they never did it. They made a show in Congress. They provided a little bit of theater for all of us to believe that they were trying to get rid of it, but it never got taken care of. And also, the obvious solution to solve the problem has never, ever been implemented. And it's very simple. It's take insurance companies, allow them to compete over state lines. Oh, BC, there we've committed a sin. It's competition. Insurance companies don't want to compete. So this is why we have the current system we have, is so that there's no competition. There's very few insurance companies, health insurance companies, operating, within states, and they have to have licenses to do so, but they cannot compete over state lines with the organizations they have. This is the problem. If a law was written that insurance companies can now go over state lines and compete. In other words, if Blue Cross Blue Shield would have the same policies and in all 50 states, the same thing, and allowed, basically to compete with, let's say, Aetna, then you would see choice and competition. Now, if there was collusion, they can all keep their prices high, but there will be upstarts that come into the system. In a free market system, small companies will come up and challenge the big boys. Now, if they're ethical, they won't get bought out, which is, once again, part of a fascist system. But there are ways to actually lower the cost of healthcare in our current system, keeping the current system intact with insurance companies. There are ways to do it. They are not allowed to be implemented. Both parties are in agreement upon that. And why? Because insurance companies are among the most powerful lobbyists in Washington. You want to see money flow from K Street to Washington, D.C., follow the insurance guys. I'm telling you, it's huge. I could bring up a lot of other issues where I could prove that they're linked, but I think that the main one is the size of government. This is a staple of the Republican Party. We know that they're the conservatives. I'm doing air quotes right now. Conservatives. And what that means is they want smaller government and lower taxes. That's their main platform. That hasn't been true for a very, very long time. And it's very evident. Do we ever see government shrink anymore? The last time I think we saw a little bit of shrinkage in government was actually under, I'm going to have to say it was under Reagan. Now, I know that there was military shrinkage under Clinton, but the government was expanded in other areas during the same time. So I'm not going to say that Clinton, a Democrat, actually did shrink the size of government. I don't think he did. But you have both parties that the only difference that, people love this, but they don't get it. Republicans like to lower taxes, which is true. that placates their base. Democrats like to raise taxes, and then their base loves that because that placates them as well. But what you have is literally your money's going to get taken from you in one way or the other. It's either going to be through inflation and lower taxes, or it's going to be just through higher taxes. And then there'll be less inflation, but you'll pay it in taxes instead. This is the way the system works. They're both taxes. Taxes are taxes. Inflation is a hidden tax. So when you have Republicans lowering taxes, basically they have to borrow money in order to keep the budget going. And that puts new money into the system, which creates inflation. So the purchasing power of your money goes down here in the United States when that happens. So they both agree on large government, is my opinion, because neither of them will shrink government. Neither party will do it. So these are areas in which these parties, are exactly the same, yet these are ones we fight over all the time. And we think that one side's, wins a battle when taxes get lowered. No, you don't. No, you don't, because you're still going to pay it through inflation. The prices of things are going to go up, and you're going to pay it that way. Or if the Democrats, decide or get the power, and all of a sudden taxes go up, well, inflation slows down then. But they take your money through taxes. It's that simple. So that's what I wanted to really talk about today, is that the two parties are not as dissimilar as, maybe they appear to be. The words are one thing. The politicians are liars. So they're going to go ahead and make promises, campaign promises. They're going to say they're doing this, they're doing that. But they understand the score. They know how this works. I kind of envision, basically these guys fighting, on the floor of the House or the Senate. And then as soon as the C-SPAN cameras are turned off, they're slapping each other on the back and going to the bars and, have beers together. It's just all theater to me. I really don't see it any other way. And now you understand the reasons why. And I could go into more examples of why they're similar. But like I said, I need to keep this short. But at any rate, those are my thoughts for today, gang. And hey, I wanted to give a shout out to everybody. Thank you to all the new subs that are coming in. I really appreciate you guys hanging out with us. We deeply appreciate the comments that are being left down below. It's very nice. Even just a tad overwhelming, but I can deal with that. I just love the fact that you guys are watching the videos enough to actually have comments on them. And so that's pretty cool. And a special shout out to all my friends in Missouri who are actually subbed to the channel. You guys are awesome. And let's keep fighting for freedom. All right, gang, that's all I have for you today. Have a wonderful day, and may God bless you.